Testing, testing. Test, test, test. Too much? Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Team Boss launch. I am so excited about this, and I appreciate anyone who's going to be here live and anyone who's going to be here after the fact. Just sort of catching up on this. I know live streams, live launches can be tricky with everybody's schedule, but for anyone watching now or later, I really appreciate it. Those of you who know me, who've been watching this channel, who have raced against me, hung out with me in the past, will know me as a couple of things. Number one, I'm probably best known on my YouTube channel for painting. I've got several paint tutorials that have done pretty well as far as views go. And in fact, whenever I'm in a race, oftentimes if anyone recognizes me from YouTube, they recognize me for painting. I get asked questions all the time. Hey, when are you going to do another paint tutorial? So I enjoy painting cars. It's one of the reasons that I wanted to build Team Boss. There are other reasons, though. Over the years of my mediocrity as a sim racer, I've been a part of three teams. First, it was Mind Trick Motorsports, an international collection of drivers, many of whom I'm still friends with and race with and hang out with today. Following that was another team called Dirty Torque, that again, still great folks that I hang out with today. And more recently, I've been a driver for Arctic Sim Racing, mostly a European team with they tolerate a few Americans here and there, and it's been a ton of fun hanging out with those guys. Um, so I've had the experience of being both a team driver, a team administrator, and a painter for years and years. And over all that time, I've learned a lot about what it takes to run a successful team. Now, privately, outside of racing, I'm also a leader in software. I've worked for years in tech. I've been in leadership and management strategic positions for many years. I've built and released products in three different industries. And so I decided that I wanted to take what I do privately, and that is product management, product design, and development, and apply that to my hobby of sim racing in a way that I felt solved a real problem that people have, and that is these poor team managers and these poor painters struggle to manage all of the infrastructure of their team. Who's their current roster of drivers? Do we have a paint for the Acura? They have to handle those questions. What's the latest setup for the Merc that we're going to run at Spa? Hey, who's streaming tomorrow's race? What's the broadcast stream again? I think this one's on VSpeed, or I think it's on GSRC. What are the time slots for Suzuka? Right? What time is it in Germany right now? I think Hans is in the car in 30 minutes. There's a herding cats element to sim racing, especially where endurance racing is concerned and team racing is concerned, that I think Team Boss can help solve. Now, let me tell you what Team Boss isn't. It isn't trying to replace Discord. Discord is a great chat utility. I think of it like Slack is for business or Teams is for business. Discord is for gaming in general, but especially sim racing. Discord's where people hang out. It's got really great functionality for live, real-time collaboration, but it's not a file manager. It's not a planner, right? It's a chat tool, and it's a really good chat tool. But it doesn't do everything that it needs to do. And so over time, I've observed various discords, various teams and leagues that I've run in, and series that I've run in, from Camel GT, now IMSA Vintage, to the Lotus 49 and 79 crowds, to my NASCAR leagues that I'm in, various teams that I've been a part of. Discord is trying to be this catch-all for not just the communications, but the files, right? The history, the standings, the everything. And so much of it is linking out to third-party things. These team managers and league managers are having to do all kinds of stuff, in Discord and out of Discord, and sometimes it's duplicative and unnecessarily difficult. So there's another element to this too that is specific to the challenges of running a team where where endurance schedules are concerned, right? So you've got 4 or 5 drivers that are going to be getting together in a car for the 24 hours of Spa, and you need to organize them. And I'll share my screen here real quickly to show this. So that scene, and let's go over to this bad boy. So as part of, I mentioned Mind Trick Motorsports and Dirty Torque a minute ago. And when we first sort of started hanging out together racing Camel GT years and years ago, and we got together one time to do the Nürburgring 24 as a collaborative team, and we jokingly called it Dirty Mind Trick. This is an example of one of the really cool schedules that this team put together using Google Sheets. We were measuring driver time, we were measuring stint timelines, local times for the drivers and all that stuff. And of course, this is all pretty, relatively advanced. It's not over the top crazy, but I mean, look at that formula, and think about all the people on your team. If everyone's in this spreadsheet, who's going to mess it up, right? Who's going to break that formula? Who's going to change some cell value that gets things messed up? How easily adjustable is this in the midst of a race? Another version of that, as these things evolve, here's another version, right? Nico was in Germany, Ben, me, US East, Harry was in Germany, Mateus was in Poland, Rohit was in India. This is a difficult schedule to manage. And so we were trying to do a lot in Google Sheets. And these things work, right? They work, but they're fragile and they're very manual. So these are some of the problems that TeamBoss is meant to solve. So I want to walk you through TeamBoss, sort of A to Z here. And if you have questions, we'll hang out at the end to answer those questions. But for the meantime, I want to introduce you to TeamBoss and just kind of carefully walk through the various tabs of it and invite you to sign up for TeamBoss for free if that ends up being the right tier for your team, right? There is a free level, as well as discounts to the paid tiers if you want. So this has I've been working on this for 7 or 8 months now. It's been a labor of love, but it's not a free labor, right? It took my time, and I do hope that this turns a modest profit. I'm not trying to get rich off of it, but I'm definitely hoping to be able to monetize to some degree my love of sim racing and the solution that I feel like I'm bringing to the market, the TeamBoss is bringing to the market. So let's log in and kick around. Let's see what TeamBoss is all about. First thing I'm going to do, this is the website, right? Teamboss.net is where you get started. If you want, you can, of course, save this link, or you can save the actual login link that I'm going to show you in a moment. But here you'll see, videos. You'll see a link to the Discord. I'd love if everyone joins the Discord. If you feel so inspired, you can donate to the cause and help me keep this thing funded and going. There are real costs to running TeamBoss every month. A pricing tab, which I'll show you in a little bit. But today, we're going to start by clicking Login. So when you log in, you'll see that you're greeted with a Google and a Discord option. So this is going to utilize your already existing login information for those two platforms. So I have a Google account, I have a Discord account. I can choose which one I want to use. When I first set up my account, I can have both of them if I want. But most likely one of you will choose one or the other, or be invited using one or the other, and will log in using Google or Discord going forward. Now, you'll notice that I do not have my own native username and password. That is a conscious choice. Listen, you can't go a week without seeing some sort of uh, very public, very damaging memory or information leak regarding like Target or Walmart or someone just got hacked and all their passwords got taken. Now, I've taken security very seriously with TeamBoss, and one of the elements of that is I don't want to even house your username and password. I trust Google at their scale more than I trust myself at my scale to be able to safeguard your information, right? So I'm not going to ask you anything sensitive. I'm not going to store your passwords. And yes, of course, I'll make this commitment here. You can play this back later. I will never sell your data. If TeamBoss blows up and becomes some international phenomenon, and someone calls and says, "Hey, here's $100,000. Give me a bunch of driver data," I'm not going to do it, right? There's no amount. I do pretty well. There's no amount of money that they can pay me to break that promise. It is in the terms of use, it is in the privacy policy, and it's my explicit promise to you as a fellow sim racer that I will never sell that data. So I'm going to log in here using my Google account. So I happen to be a part of multiple teams. Now, I mentioned a minute ago that I have over time been a part of 3 different teams. So my Alpha Racing team here is sort of a demo. This Arctic is a real team that really has its own team site for TeamBoss. We're not going to go into that one because, again, it has those drivers' information, their names and so forth, and I don't want to share that. So we're going to go into Alpha here. But The key point for you is to know that you can be in multiple teams if you want to be, right? Or if you need to be. Maybe you're the manager of one team, but for this one race, you're doing a one-off invitational where you're going in and racing along with some other team and they're organizing through TeamBoss. So you're an admin in one place and a driver in another. Let's go into alpha. And we're just going to sort of walk our way mostly left or right across the tabs across the top there. So again, not trying to replace Discord, but here in my driver listing, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail, but here in my driver listing, you'll see that I do have a Discord button, and it's just a shortcut. When you're setting up your team site, you'll pop in your team's server, and here's the one for TeamBoss. I would love it if everyone would join this. I'll throw the invitation link down into the description here of this video. But I'd love it if everyone here would join the Discord, right? This is going to be a place where we're going to have product announcements, upgrades, discussions, new releases. You can report bugs here. Listen, it's software, nothing's perfect. And so there's likely to be the occasional issue. I'll be handling tech support through here. If you have ideas, you can handle them through here. If I'm releasing new functionality, you'll see product videos and announcements here. And then, of course, a general discussion. So please join the Discord. Please have some fun. Hang out with the community. It's a brand new thing, and I'm looking to build a community, of course, of like-minded folks who want to have fun and be kind to each other, and I think we can do that. Now, if you're a team manager, of course, you're probably wanting to add drivers and build out your rosters. There is a way that you can add people manually just for record keeping. You can invite them. You can, if you have someone who's unruly, you can delete them, or you can just deactivate someone if they're, maybe going to come back someday, but you don't know, and so you're going to deactivate their profile for now, that kind of stuff. But basically, you're going to have all the people's I ratings and maybe most importantly, their location by country and their local time. Remember what we talked about with stint schedules. Local time is really important, right? What is hour 21 of the Nürburgring 24 in Sweden versus Japan versus Oklahoma versus California, right? You got to keep all that straight in your head. Well, TeamBoss can keep that straight for you. So whenever you're setting up someone's profile, you'll just simply fill out whatever information you need. Now, I need to take a quick aside here. Right when I got serious about starting to work on TeamBoss, iRacing announced that they were suspending new integration partners at temporarily, but without a lot of detail as to why and not a lot of detail as to when it would be reactivated. We have gotten commitment. Or TeamBoss and several other products that are trying to get into the market are all sort of stuck a little bit here in being able to integrate their platform for authentication and for data retrieval, right? Until iRacing opens this up. But you've got my commitment that as soon as iRacing does open up again and start allowing new integrations, I will be first in line. I've actually already got an application in. It's just awaiting that reopening before it gets approved. And frankly, it's already been approved. It's just pending their reactivation to be able to get the keys and authentication methods that I need. They keep it rightfully so pretty locked down, and it protects their product, and I understand why. And they're doing work to protect the privacy of iRacers, and I respect that too. So with that said, for the short term, you will be, when you're editing a driver, you'll just manually input their values, right? So if you're getting ready for a race, maybe ask everybody to update their road racing iRating real fast or their license level real fast, just so that you have updated information. Or you can do it, of course, as an admin. So, I can find the driver that I care about and look at their information. I can invite people. I won't show that today, but you can invite new users through a link. That way, only people that you want in your team site can get into your team site. But mainly, it's just a list, right? It's just a list with ratings and maybe most importantly, location and local time zone. So moving on here, let's take a look at the races tab. And we're going to come here twice today. TeamBoss will automatically be pulling in all of the official races. So, every year around December, iRacing releases an official calendar of special events. The Daytona 24, the Nürburgring 24, you can see here the 6 Hours of Road Americas coming up, the Knoxville Nationals. Some of these are team events, some of these are individual events, some are dirt, some are road, some are endurance, some are not. The Indy 500 is an amazingly important event, but it's single right? It's a single player, but you might still be interested in collaborating and sharing setups and thinking through and coordinating your race weekend when it comes to the Indy 500. But primarily, I think people are going to care the most here about things like the Spa 24, the 6 hours of Road America, that take team assignments and planning and so on. And there's lots of different car options. There's complexity, and this is meant to help you manage that complexity. And again, we're going to come back to the races tab in a minute and really talk about that in detail. Um, if you know that you're not going to participate as a team in something, like let's say we're a road team and we're not necessarily interested in the Firecracker 400 at Daytona, well, I can just deactivate that, and it's still there, but it's not in my way. And later you'll see how whenever I'm setting up my race day stuff, that the fact that I've turned this off means that I can go turn it back on, but it's not in my way downstream from here for anything else that I want to do. If I'm looking for a particular thing like Bathurst, I can just search, or if I want to only see the oval races, or by a particular um, car category, if I only want to see team events, right? There's filters and stuff in play here. If I want to look at past races and look at how I organize teams on some past race, I can. So there's all kinds of tools here for you to be able to just organize your races. Now, if you're participating in something like, say, the Majors 24 or any of the Majors calendar, or if you're a streamer and you're doing a charity event and you want to organize your team for a charity event, you can always add custom races with your own name, your own car combinations, warm up, qualify, gridding, whatever, all the elements that you would create in a race to get organized. You can add that to your schedule here. So, in fact, the first real world usage of TeamBoss with the folks over at Orange Speed. Thank you, Orange Speed, for helping test TeamBoss in the early goings there. Was the Majors 24, and they went out and they won that Mamma Jamma. And then they went out and won their next race. I think it was I forget what it was, but they went out and run two races that they organized off of TeamBoss. So I'm really excited about that. That was pretty validating, and I'll come back to that. So the races tab is for you to be able to you and a driver to be able to answer the question, hey, what races are coming up? Are we participating in them? What cars are in them? What time slots are in them? What is this race? What the heck is the Knoxville Nationals? Well, it's one of the biggest and most prestigious sprint car events of the year. Oh, I'm not interested in sprint cars. I'm going to turn that off. Port of Maya 1000. Hey, I won the Port of Maya 1000 last year, actually, with an Arctic team. That's a really cool GT1 and HPD event. And we're going to do that. I want to get the team going on that. But it's still a month or two away, so I'm not going to do anything on it today. Now, I'm going to come back to the races tab and we'll talk about how to organize a race. But first, let's talk about paints and setup. So I started by saying that I'm a painter, right? My YouTube channel, if you go look at it, it's got a bunch of paint tutorials, and those are my best performing videos. And again, when someone sees me in a race lobby and they recognize my name, they're like, oh, are you the Ben Laughter from YouTube? And I'll say, yes, because I've got hundreds of racing videos. And they'll say, I love your paint tutorials. And that's because I'm such a mediocre sim racer, but I'm not a bad painter. And so one of the challenges that I think team admins, and especially the person or people on that team who do painting, is organizing all the liveries, organizing all the paints. And so the paints tab here is meant to solve that. So if someone ever comes up and says, hey, it's almost time for the Watkins Glen 6 hour and we want to run the Acura GTP, do we have paints for it? I can say, well, you know what? Go in here and look, right? Look for GTP, and boom, there's all the GTPs with their paints that we have. And if I click on this one, that's just going to take me to the link where that paint exists, right? So we're not trying, just like we're not trying to replace Discord, we're not necessarily trying to replace trading paints either. We're trying to make the process of finding the paint easier by simply giving you a utility where you can link to it. Now you'll notice a couple things here when I click on the Acura. I've got two paint jobs. I've got an old one and a new one. So the way that the Arctic team has done this, there was a theme, a code name for the various paints. In 2025, it was called Unleashed. In 2026, it's called Parhelion. So um, when I don't have to get rid of Unleashed to have Parhelion, right? And if I have multiple variations of a paint, like back in my Mind Trick days, I would often do an orange version, a pink version, a green version and a blue version of every paint that I did, because the different drivers wanted, if we were all on a race together, wanted to be the same but distinguishable, right? So we would have different variations of the paints. If you were watching NASCAR this last weekend at Coronado, you know that the Trackhouse Red Bull cars had inverted color schemes for the two Red Bull cars. Similar idea. They've got two paints, and I would go to the Chevy NASCAR Chevy next gen, and I would have both paint jobs available to me there for those uses. So no longer will you have to answer the question as a painter or as a team manager, hey, do we have a paint for whatever car? They can just come here. Your drivers can just come here and be linked straight to that paint. Now, for the painters, one of the problems is, and I'll go there on my computer real fast. Probably most people have some version of this, right? A paint folder that has, thousands of, of subfolders and all this stuff, right? So I've done paints for years and years, and so over those years, I've done paints for the Audi 90, for the various versions of R8, all these different BMWs, and in support of those paints, I've got all of these different logos that I'll use. Like, so I've got a folder for my TeamBoss logos, for example, and so that's a pain in the butt. Number one, because you've got it on your computer, it's taking up storage. Number two, because only you have access to it. So you might put it in Google Drive, but then you've got to worry about sharing permissions and all that crap. Well, why not just organize that stuff inside of a graphics and assets folder inside of TeamBoss, right? So if I want my TeamBoss graphics, my logos, I can download them from here. If I want my own team logos, I can get them from here. If I've got special sponsor logos, AMG, Arctic, Asus, Casio, whatever, I want to put it there. If I've got funny stuff, like a funny car, I can put it there, right? So you've got web available everywhere, access to your various files that you might need as a painter or as a team member, as a driver, to be able to get to anytime you need. It makes it nice and easy, takes out the complexity, and takes out all the back and forth crap. And again, Discord's not a file manager, and so if you're right now using some chat folder and organizing paints into threads and stuff, you know how difficult that can be to find what you're looking for later, because again, you're scrolling through what is meant to be a historical chat, not a file manager. This is a file manager, but specific for racing paints. Similarly, for setups. If someone says, do we have a setup for the Acura GTP? Well, you can come here and say, well, no, we don't. All right, no problem. I'm going to upload one. And I just happen to grab one here. I'm sorry, let me pop in a name here. Acura, and I'll call this, June or whatever. And I'm going to, sorry, I forget how my own stuff works sometimes. Let's call this setup.sto. And I'm going to add it. I might need to refine that a little bit. So there's actually supposed to be an upload there. I'm sorry, I need to fix something. So again, nothing's perfect. Gonna find bugs, but I'll fix that. You should be able to upload the STO file for storage directly in here so that you've got those setups later. I hate it when I find something live, but at least I found it and you don't have to. Streams. Many of us stream. I stream. Every now and then I have a pretty good audience. Most times it's me and a couple of very intimate friends. But support your friends. If your buddy is streaming, if your buddy Slowing Down or Thomas Turbo is streaming, drop in on their Twitch, drop in their YouTube. There's going to be a live indicator here that'll tell you whether that person is actually live right now. That I think will be pretty cool for people to start building their audiences from their friends on out. So support your friends, check out their streams, and again, you're going to see how that plays in on race day as well. Let's set up a race. So I mentioned Spa earlier. Let's say we're going to run Spa. First, let me click in, kind of look at some details. Not only is TeamBoss going to give you the details of the race, it's also going to give you the details of the cars that are available for that race, right? This is a challenge where iRacing sometimes, not until the last few days before a special event, will release what the cars are going to be for that event. And so this will enable you to know, as soon as I know, as soon as TeamBoss knows, I'll populate these. These will get populated and you'll know what cars are available for that race. Now that's really important because one of the things that teams need to do is say, well, I've got 15 drivers on the roster. Who all wants to run Spa? All right, who's down, right? There's always some version of that question. Who's down? Who wants to run this? And so I've engineered into TeamBoss a driver survey. Now, there's three sort of built-in questions that I think are obvious. Are you interested? Yeah, no. What's your preferred car? what's your preferred teammate? Or do you have a preferred teammate? You can choose not to answer those. You can make them optional if you want to. And of course, you can make your own custom suggestions, like do you have any livery requests? Right? And they can pop in a text, or it can be a numerical response or a radio button. So let's do a radio and say yes, no, right? And we'll do another question here. How about do you have any, or how about list any schedule restrictions you'll have on race day? And maybe make that a text field and add a question. So once you're done with all that, you can create the poll, and now you've got a link that you can copy. And when you copy that link, now let's go into an incognito window. When you copy that link, if I'm the recipient, so you post this to your Discord, you've got this link out there, this driver will sign in with their profile. They'll sign in with their profile, and forgive me here, I know, Kitty, but I'm in the middle of a product launch. Two-factor authentication. And they're looking at a poll. So yes, I'm interested. And I prefer to drive the Acura, and I really would like to run with Max. Max and I did great last time I raced. I don't have any special livery requests, and I can't drive between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Saturday, right? So they might say something like that and submit their response, and then that gets logged to that race. So if I go back now to the admin view, now on this race on Spa, I have a poll response that I can go look at. So and let me hit refresh actually. I have a poll response that I can go look at. I should, oh, you know what? Sorry, I changed where that's at. I've been making all kinds of changes. So I've got a poll response that I can look at now. I've got one person that's interested. Maybe I pulled 10 and I'm just looking at this every couple of days before I go ready to set up my teams. Now, let's say I'm ready to set up my teams. Whenever I go back into that race, of course, I can do that from the list as well. Whenever I go back into the race, I can now manage my teams. Now, this is where the special sauce starts to come in. I've got around a dozen racers in my alpha racing team here. I've got about a dozen drivers. Now, I know that I'm going to have, for a 24-hour race, I'm probably going to have 3 teams of 4 drivers each. So I'm going to add a team, add a team. And maybe I want to give them special numbers like 001 or team alpha or team beta or whatever. I'm going to use 001, 002, and 003 on mine. Just going to give them some names. And then depending on the race, you might have different classes. So this is Spa, so it's going to be all GT3, but you can imagine if this were an IMSA race that you would have, GTP, LMP2, and GT3 there. And I can now set up my teams one of a couple of different ways. I can say, oh, look, Ben filled out a survey response. I'm going to click the button there. He wants to drive the Acura and he wants to run with Max. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start by just dragging Ben into 001, and I'm going to find Max here and drag him in too. So that team has started. I still need to add a couple of drivers, but I can just from there decide based on whatever criteria I want. I've got a feel for these things. I know these guys. I can drop them in until I'm happy with the way my teams are set up. Right. And so I might end up with 4 teams of 3. I might end up with 3 teams of 4, whatever. I might have different drivers that I want to remove from my listing over here or not, whatever the case may be. And you'll notice here how I've got average I rating for all 3 teams. And I can ask myself the question, will these guys get into the same split? Is that something that's important to me? Are these guys wanting to run a different time frame or time slot? And I can just sort of make these sort of high level configurations. And if I decide, ooh, you know what, I think it'd be better if Barry were to move over to 002, then I can remove him from here and add him over here. So dragging and dropping like it's the 21st century, guys. I'm setting up my teams, and I just did that in like 2 minutes at most, right? I just set up all 3 teams. Now I can do it in less time than that too. I'm going to hit reset here. And so I've got my 3 team containers, and I'm going to automatically assign my drivers based on either I rating or locality. What do I mean? Let's say we've got a team of absolute ninjas, right? We got some guys that are incredible and we think they are top split competitive and we want to do our best to get into the top split. So I've got all my drivers over here. I want to group my highest I rating drivers together. That means I'm going to take my drivers and make them at the best, three, we'll say four drivers per team. What is it? Three per team, I think is what I had. I'm going to put all my best drivers together in one team, my second best drivers, and then my third best drivers. Boom, I'm done. So now I've got a team at 5,200, a team at 4,000, and a team at 2,700. Now also notice, again, we have the driver's local time zone. We know that Barry is in the US at GMT minus 4. We know that Minnie is in the US at GMT minus 7. We know that Max is in the Netherlands at GMT plus 2. Because we know that, there's another way we can do this. I'm going to reset again, auto assign across time zones, 3 drivers per team. And now look at that. Now I've got a time zone spread of -7 to +2, -4 to +2, -4 to +2. This is going to help with stint scheduling and making sure people aren't driving after 3 a.m. if you don't want to, right? So another way that you might think about this is try to get everybody in the same split. So I'll auto assign and balance I ratings across all teams. So there's different ways that you can auto assign and just create your teams in 2 clicks if you don't have special requests you want to manage. Or maybe you start with that and then go back and move people around after the fact to accommodate for special requests. So it's up to you how you go about it. But the point is, this should not take hours. This should not take several minutes. This should take seconds. And I think that's what we've done here with TeamBoss. Now I've got a 4009, a 4008, and a 4082 I rating average team, right? So let's say this is our teams, and your boy Ben Laughter here is on team 001. And now that I'm done with that, since I'm the administrator, I want to go ahead and create the stint schedule for my own team. So for 001, I'm going to make that admin created. But for the other two, for 2 and 3, I'm going to make those team created. I'm going to ask those teams to create their own schedules. Okay. So with this one, though, I'm going to click Manage Schedule. And here I am looking at where I left off. I'm going to go ahead and hit Reset. And let's look across the top here. You'll notice I've already input some of this stuff, and maybe it's not realistic, but hopefully it makes the point. What's an average lap time for a GT3 car around Spa? 219, 218, something like that, right? Let's say 217 because somebody's fast, right? We're fast. But we're expecting some rain. We've already seen the weather forecast in iRacing, and we know that somewhere mid-race it's supposed to get rainy. And let's just say that a rain lap, we've done a bunch of testing, and it's 238. And how many laps can you go? You can go 26 on dry, maybe you can go 28 because you're using less fuel on wets, right? How long does it take to do a drive-through? What if we get a penalty? How long does it take to do a drive-through? How long does it take to take fuel only? How long does it take to take 4 tires and minimum fuel, meaning just the time of the tires? How about full fuel with tires? So pop in your rough numbers on pit strategy and then start filling out your stint schedule. So you'll notice here how there's alternating rows between a stint and a pit stop. Makes sense, right? If Barry is going to start the race and then do a 4 tires and fuel stop, let's do fuel only, save some pit time. And then Barry's going to stay in the car for a second run and then a 4 tires and fuel stop. And then Eddie will do 2 with fuel only in between and so on, right? I can go through and set up my stint schedule pretty darn easily. So why don't we real quickly hide the pit stops so that we're a little more concise here. Hide the pit stops and think about, all right, I'm just going to drag people in, and you'll notice how I'm getting a countdown timer over here. We've got 13 hours left. Well, I need to add some stints. I need to add some rows here, right? So I'm going to pre-populate a bunch of rows for you, but you can then go in and do more. Let's say Barry here is going to get in for a triple, and then Ben's going to get back in. We've still got 9 hours left. Add, and I'm gonna drop in our guys here. Maybe I just made a decision. Oh, you know what? These are the wet ones. Our guy Barry is really good at wet, and so all of the times here are adjusting based on whether it's a wet lap or a dry lap. I've still got 5 hours left, so let's do 5 more stints. I've now got 5 empty spots down here. Let's put Ben back in the car. We'll finish up Barry. Eddie's going to finish out, right? And here we are. We're done, right? So mark end of race. Now, I might show the pit stops again, and then rethink. Okay, between each of these, we're going to do fuel only, fuel only. For this triple, we'll get tires the first time. We'll do fuel only the second time. Fuel only. So I'm just going to make these changes, and you'll notice how everything dynamically updates as things are going. Really, really importantly, GMT 7:30 a.m. is 3:30 a.m. for Barry. We expect Barry's stint, his triple, to begin at 3:30 in the morning his time and to end at 6:30 in the morning his time, right? So this way you can manage the situations where, oh, I don't want Barry to have to drive 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Or maybe Barry doesn't want to have to drive 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. And so you're going to make adjustments based on weather and based on driver's local time to decide who should be where. So I've got my stint schedule. I'm happy with it, right? I've scheduled out the whole race. But then, the unexpected is going to happen, and we're going to talk about the unexpected in a minute. And I know that's a burning question, right? But I've created my stint schedule. Now, I need to make sure I communicate with my team. Again, I'm not trying to replace Discord. I'm just trying to make it easier to work with Discord. So I've already checked some stuff here. Let's uncheck it. As you can see, I've been testing a lot, trying to make things perfect as I can. You already saw me miss something. Nothing's perfect. But one of the logistics that you have to do as a team admin when you're putting this sort of stuff together is to actually create the teams in iRacing and make sure all the drivers not only are invited, but that they accept, right? And so if I've just created the team in TeamBoss and I've created the stint schedule for TeamBoss in TeamBoss, and I know who the drivers are, then I need to make sure that I'd have TeamBoss up on one monitor and iRacing up on another, and then I would go and create the team. I'd invite the drivers. Here's their IDs. I would assign the appropriate ones as team admins, and then if there is a special paint for that team, I'd set it. And I would go through and do that for all the teams that I am running in this race. So I've got a little quality control checklist for myself. And then when I'm ready, I can hit copy to clipboard. And then let's do this real fast. We'll open up Discord and we'll go into our Discord together, right? And I would paste team assignments. And I'm done, right? So if you're Barry or Phil or whatever, then you've now got that notification. Okay, team assignments have been done, and that's my cue as a driver to go log into TeamBoss and see the stint schedule that's been created if there has been one, and so on. So now it's race day. Oh my goodness. All right, we've been working on this. Everybody's done dozens of hours of practice, and everybody's ready to race at Spa. So there's this tab here called Race Day. And what Race Day is meant to do, and let's go and look at Spa. What Race Day is meant to do is to provide you a landing page and a collaborative page for everybody on the teams, plural, to go hang out and race. So let's say for a moment that the Team 001 made the broadcast split, right? So I'm going to open up YouTube over here real fast. And why don't we just for funsies open up VSpeed? I've already got VSpeed here. Let's say that the race is being broadcast on VSpeed. And this is the broadcast. I'm going to now link that so that anyone who's curious and is hanging out on TeamBoss, they look at the dashboard, they're like, oh my God, 001's in the broadcast split. I'm going to watch that. Or they can see that Ben is streaming. I'm going to watch that. Notice the red dot. I'm streaming on that channel right now. It's live. Okay. Sloan is not currently streaming. Support your friends, support their streams. Now, whenever I'm looking at this, I can see not only who the drivers are on it, what time slot they're running, but really importantly here, who's currently in the car based on the schedule and who's next. Eddie here is next, and he needs to be in 1 hour, 1 hour and 3 minutes. There's a countdown happening. Now, when one of the teams used this for the Majors 24 recently, I had a debrief with one of their drivers, and he told me that race day was the big difference maker for him. That it took all the guesswork and the communication pain out of race day, right? And that I could go in here and open up the schedule and see what time it was. Notice now it's 5:39 p.m., right? At whatever time zone I'm set to here. Here's the time right now. Here's who's in the car right now, and who's next, right? And so I can see here Eddie is coming up in about an hour, but Ben is right now in for a double stint. Now, let's say something changes, right? And you have a crash, or you spend a few minutes in the pits, or the rain hits unexpectedly early. You can go in and change the weather to wet for how long it rained, and that's going to adjust everything downstream. So now Eddie doesn't need to be in the car for longer than an hour, right? He's got a little more time. Or let's say that your boy Ben here messes up and has a little crash, and he ends up in the pits for a little while extra. You lose 15 minutes in the pits. Well, you can either adjust the time, or you can click End Now, and this is going to break stuff if I do this, but I'm going to click End Now, and notice how everything downstream from that got automatically adjusted. So no more messing around with difficult formulas in spreadsheets to try to adjust schedules on the fly. You just say end now, or you type in the time that it ended, and the schedule will adjust itself from there. Make a different decision on fuel strategy because you're in a battle and you decide to do fuel only. Okay, change it. It'll change the pit stop time, and it'll also change all the downstream times from that. So it just makes it easy, right? It just makes it easier for your stint schedule to keep up with what's actually happening throughout the actual race day. Now, the other component of Race Day beyond just information is a collaborative chat. Again, not trying to replace Discord. I'm actually actively thinking about integrating with Discord and seeing if I can. I know I can embed Discord here, but I don't know that I can make it interactive. I've been looking through their documentation, and I don't think they offer the ability to have a back and forth through a third-party service. I think you have to be using Discord natively. But of course, you can again link your Discord here and go back and forth and have quick access to it. So there might be a Discord element to this that gets added and made more robust later. But for the moment, I'm just going to jump in there and say, good job, Harry, right? And now I've got a little private chat happening here. That has nothing to do with Discord. Again, not trying to replace it, but you can have your own little race day chat happening here as well within TeamBoss. Excuse me. So, um, how do you get started? You've got a team, you're a team manager, you're a painter, and you want to get going, right? And you've got a small team, 3 or 4 drivers who hang out as friends, or you've got a huge team, with some sort of notoriety, and you're kind of interested. Okay, we want to get more organized. You're right, Ben. Team Boss is not an appropriately powerful tool for all the various things that I need to do. It's a good chat platform and it's a good screen sharing platform, but it's not a file manager, it's not a planner, it's not a stint scheduler. So if you want to get started, head over to teamboss.net. You can watch videos. Of course, you've just watched this launch stream, so you probably don't need the videos at this moment. But you can watch the videos. You can join the Discord. If you feel so inclined and want to support the work, it does cost money to build these things. It does cost money to host these things. You can donate if you're going to be choosing the free plan. You can please feel free to donate if you want to. But you can click on the pricing tab and you'll see the 3 tiers that I currently have. I am considering a 4th tier to go in between free and Band of Brothers, um, which I'll let you know if I end up doing in the Discord. But what's the difference? So for free, and as far as I know right now, my plan is to always have it for free, would be if you've got up to 5 drivers and you're going to field 1 car per race, then Team Boss for free, no charge, have fun, go at it. You'll have the driver streams, race day dashboards, the stint planner, the driver survey. Now, what you won't have is the paints manager, the graphics and assets manager, and the setups manager. But you will have the planning and driver roster management up to 5 drivers. So small teams, please go have fun. Build your team. It's free. I can scale with you as you scale, right? But as your team is still small and consolidated, man, use Team Boss for free. Have fun with it. If you've got a larger team, up to 15 drivers, then again, the thing costs money to build, it costs money to support, it costs money to provide an infrastructure cost. And so I've got to charge for it. It can't be free. And so the Band of Brothers tier is for medium-sized teams, up to 15 drivers who are going to run 3 cars per race. My example alpha team is basically that, right? A Band of Brothers team. And you can see here how you have all the functionality available to you. You're only limited on number of drivers and number of cars per race. And the world domination over here is basically the everything burger, where you can have everything you want. There is an option to pay annually at a discount, and there's an option to pay monthly. Now, I've already got, yeah, it's up on the bottom left of your screen right now. There are coupon codes. If you want to jump into one of the paid tiers, please do. Through the end of next month, through the end of July, I will be offering the discounts you see there. So if you use code launch month, then you're going to get your first month for free. If you use launch year and you sign up for one of the yearly plans, the annual plans, you'll get 50% off your first year. Right. So that's a pretty significant savings in either way you go. And I hope that the value that's being provided and the coordination and the time savings and the reliability of everything is such that you feel like you're getting your money's worth. Right? I'm aware of how uncompromisingly demanding sim racers can be when it comes to um, both quality, reliability, and value received. Right? The wheels are expensive, the rigs are expensive, the service itself is expensive. So I know that this is potentially asking you to bring in more cost into your life for this hobby, and I get it. However, again, takes money to build, takes money and a lot of time to build and to service. And so I do ask that you pay that modest fee. If your team is scaling, that means you're getting more value out of it. There is, by the way, the ability within the platform to link your PayPal. That way you can accept donations from your team to help cover the cost, or just do fundraising because you want to do t-shirts or whatever for your team. So please feel free to embed your own PayPal. I'm not taking a cut of it. I just built the functionality because that's another need that I see that teams have, especially if they want to do merch. So that is TeamBoss, folks. I am so excited about it. I've got a roadmap full of more stuff that I want to build. I think it's going to be a fantastically powerful tool that's going to help a lot of teams get very organized for these really fun endurance races. Some of my favorite memories in my 14 years on iRacing now, 13 years on iRacing now, have been endurance races. I've won Port of Mayal most recently, won the supercars at Bathurst, won Daytona 24 a couple of times, Spa 20, or not Spa, never won Spa, maybe never finished Spa. But Nürburgring, I've won a bunch of these things with my teammates, and that has been some of the most fun, rewarding time I've ever had with any hobby. And so I hope you have as much fun with team racing as I do. I hope you've got a fantastic group of friends that you run with, and that you hopefully could use to be a little more organized, and that Team Boss can help with that. So again, join the Discord and let's have a conversation in there. If you have feature ideas, if you run into bugs, like I ran into one today during this launch, if you run into bugs, let me know about them so I can get them fixed. I'm going to hang up this and I'm going to go fix that bug as we speak. Otherwise, go ahead and get your team set up for free today, or if you feel so inclined, I'm happy to have a paid subscription from you, and I appreciate you supporting Team Boss. There are more products coming in the future around the Boss world, so hint, hint, if you're in a league that could use more organization, a lot of the same problems that Team Boss solves for teams, there's sort of a version of that that leagues have, and I'm seriously thinking about building a league boss as well. So again, join the Discord, and there will be more information about that as soon as I have it. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you on track again really soon. And if there's anything at all that I can do as the founder of Team Boss, the creator of Team Boss, or as just your buddy, drop in on the Discord, shoot me a note, let me know. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to watch more about Team Boss, more me racing stuff badly, more me painting stuff badly, hit subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the chats. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon.